What is happening, my friends? It is Saturday. There's some playoff football on, so if you see me looking off to the right here, I'm watching football. Houston up big. It's been a hell of a day so far, guys. It has been a very, very tough day so far. We went to go do some snow tubing in the snow. Not a big snow person, not a big cold person myself. Got there. My son was wearing Crocs instead of snow boots. That was bad choice. So we had to go and buy snow boots from a consignment store. Then we finally got in. Mind you, we have to drive, a couple hours or an hour to get to where we need to go in the first place. Wait in line to get up the hill. And literally when we get to the slide to go down and go snow sledding, 2 people injure themselves. The snow sledding gets stopped, held, and eventually canceled. Literally sitting at the top of the slide, waiting to go down. Somebody gets injured. They cancel the tubing. We then go to get a refund, because that shit's not cheap, first of all. White people sports, okay? I'm not a skier. I'm not a snowboarder. I don't do snow. Not used to it. Don't really do it. Costs a lot of money. So we go to get a refund, and my wife loses her phone. Good times. Good times all around. Had to cancel my credit card because the card was in the phone. Then we had to drive all the way back home after not tubing. It was one hell of a day, guys. But we're here now, watching some football. We're going to watch some MAGA Moronity. Sounds about what? It sure does. I don't understand the snow. I don't understand why people like being in the snow and doing stuff in the snow. I hate the snow. It's cold. Makes my fingers hurt. Makes my ears hurt. Makes my nose hurt. Sucks to drive in. I really don't understand people that like the snow. I don't. Anyways. Alright, enough crying. Sounds like the 3 times you went skiing in Yosemite. I have been skiing 0 times. 0 times. No interest. Don't want to do it? You can't make me. What's happening, Man of Tomorrow? What's happening, Reverend? What's happening, LB? What's going on, LB? What's going on, Woke Mike? Oh, yeah. And I forgot. When I got on and I tried to set up things to stream, and those would be white people, LB, white people things. Fucking snow people. I don't understand those people. I don't know. All I ever see in the snow are white people. I don't know. Does anybody else like being in the snow? I guess like Alaskans probably, like native Alaskans probably like the snow. I don't know. Anyways, I tried to get on the stream, and the Twitch stream isn't working now. Now the Twitch stream isn't working. It's just complain time. It is complain time on the Angry Ginger Show. So upset. So sad. Every time someone ended up in an ambulance. Let me just say this. As the 2 people, because apparently what happened, no, I didn't even see it happening. Okay, I just looked down and there was people holding their arms and rolling around to the ground. But apparently one tuber went up over the lip into another tuber's lane and they crashed into each other. And I wanted to, I didn't, because my wife would kill me, but I wanted to yell, walk it off. How bad can be a snow tubing accident be? It's snow tubing. Like, you don't fall far. Like, if you're snowboarding or you're skiing, like, you're standing up. Like, you could fall down, hit your head, break a leg, get your skis all twisted up. Like, there's potential for injury there. It's snow tubing. How do you get injured in snow tubing? You're literally sitting in a tube that's like a gigantic, like, fucking, like, pillow. It's a safety feature. Anyways, yeah. I wanted to yell down to walk it off. I wanted to yell, walk it off! Then, also, we were in our tubes. We were ready to go. We were, like, at the edge. And I was like, the guy had walked off. I'm like, let's just go. And my daughter's like, don't. It's breaking the rules. We could have got one run in. We could have, one time we could have went down the hill. Yes, we would have got yelled at. Potentially, yes, we would have been kicked out. But we could have went down once. Nobody would join me. Should have went by myself. What's up, Don Cron? I am watching the playoffs right now. It's just over there. It's on my TV. I have a nice 47-inch. I actually have two TVs down here because I buy a lot of TVs. I have an addiction, okay? I have a 47-inch TV down here, and I think that's a 55-inch TV as well. It's all for watching football. But I do see that the Houston Texans are beating the crap out of LA Chargers 32-12 right now. It was a close game until about the third or fourth quarter. It was close. You moved from Ohio to Florida to get away from the snow, but it's still cold here. Yeah, I don't like the cold. I don't like it. Maybe a sun will make me feel better. I hope so. Saturday Max left. All right, so anyways, that's what we're doing. We've got Adam Mockler. Just put out just a minute ago, like an hour ago, 20 minutes ago, this video on Mehdi Hassan destroying a Trump guy. I like Mehdi. I really do like Mehdi. I know like a lot of people probably like don't like the style or whatever, but I like the style. I like that Mehdi goes in on him. I like that Mehdi just fucking bashes them. I like it. I like it a lot. We got a Humanist report that I don't know, that I got clickbaited. I got clickbaited hard. It's this multimillionaire warns we risk revolution as Americans grow increasingly desperate. I was like, we can watch that. We've got Tennessee Brando talking about Donald Jr. going over to Greenland and paying homeless people and food to wear MAGA hats. We got Tennessee Brando talking about that. And we got a new Titus because woke Mike won't shut up about it. Every time I get on here, what about Titus? First of all, that's an old background, Titus. St. Pierre versus BJ Penn. That was from 2009. Not New Year's Eve. End of January 2009. BJ Penn versus George St. Pierre. Title versus title. If I remember right, St. Pierre took that. Pretty sure St. Pierre took that fight. So anyways, yeah, that's what we're doing today. Florida. There is no winter, though. I'd move to, like, Arizona. Not Florida. West Coast Florida. I'd move to West Coast Florida. Arizona. Because it fucking stays warm all the time. I'm tired of being cold. I'm tired of it. Couldn't even get my goddamn Twitch stream to work today. It's been rough. It was a good fight, wasn't it? What's happening, Joe? How do they have homeless people in Greenland? Aren't there homeless people everywhere? And just let's talk about something real quick, because that's what I do. Talk. Let's talk about the fires. Fires here in California. The reason I'm not covering the fires is because I don't really feel like, voyeuring people losing their homes in fires. It's not really my style. I think you guys, if you want to watch people talk about the fires, like, you can go to like a million other channels and they'll all talk to you about like, wow, it's crazy. And I'll be honest with you, I can only sit here for so fucking long saying, wow, that's crazy. Okay? That's what you're going to say with the fires. And all the dipshits that come into chat that are like, well, I really got to do a better job of land management. Have you ever been in a fucking forest? I live in one. There's no fucking cleaning up the forest. I am so tired of hearing these fucking morons that are like, well, if they did a better job of cleaning up the forest. Do you understand that, like, the King Fire that happened, I think it was either last year or a couple years ago, The reason that it was so nasty was because there's certain places in these forests that you can't even get equipment into. And so they have to actually let the fire burn through it because it's impossible to get machinery down in there. You don't just fucking clean the forest. Do you know how much forest there is? Not to mention that a lot of these fires, specifically down in the Los Angeles area, aren't in forests. It's fucking dry grass. It's fucking, like, do you expect them to mow California? It just drives me up a fucking wall. So I refuse to watch the fires with people and talk to them about it because people are fucking dumb. They're stupid. And people think they should have an opinion on, like, everything. Why don't they get the water from the ocean and dump the water from the ocean on the fire? Do you know what salt does to the earth? Do you realize that it is a literal war tactic to salt the fields of your enemy? And in doing so, insulting the fields of your enemy, you are straight up saying, I never want you to be able to grow something here ever fucking again. That's the whole, like, even when you salt the fields of your enemy, you know you can't ever use those fields either. Like, it's going to take generations for you to be able to use that soil. No, don't fucking dump salt all over California. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't sit here and watch those videos and just have all these fucking idiots come into the chat. Frosty, I'm talking to your dumb ass. You fucking mentally slow, mentally fucking deficient moron. Talking to you, dog. Fucking no, I'm not going to watch it. Because it's fucking stupid. So tired of hearing people go, clean up the forest. You gotta make sure the forest is clean. No, it's called defensible area. You try to create defensible areas around your home so your home doesn't burn down, and that's the best you can fucking ask for. Alright, anyways. I'm losing it. No, there's no fires near me this time. Just rake it up, bro! Satin and Liz Allen. Liza. I'm fucking losing it today. Yeah, I ain't coming back here to crush you again. The Romans. Exactly. That's what the Romans did. Exactly. Why does Texas have Border Patrol every feet of the Rio Grande? Exactly. That's the same thing. Exactly, Chris. Exactly. And it's the same morons that think you can build a wall through, like, rivers and mountainous terrain and fucking just, like, the simplest fucking people on this planet are in MAGA. They are. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they found, like, the simplest, dumbest, slowest, fucking most moronic people in the country. And they got them all into one party. And then they just say the dumbest, most basic shit to them. So that way they can go out and just regurgitate, you gotta rake the forest. Jesus fucking Christ. Please try to cross traffic on a busy road. That's the nicest way I can say it. Just fucking find a really, really busy street and fucking play Frogger. That's my advice to you. Play Frogger. See if you can get across. Call it a challenge. Alright, guys. See, that's why I can't talk about the fires. If I talk about the fires, I'm going to lose my shit. These fucking morons. Alright, anyways. Let's watch some Titus. While I was doing the beginning of American territory to Mexico. I fucking, dude, at this point, I'm ready to join Mexico. Fuck it. Let's go. I'm moving to Mexico. It's warm down there. Alright, guys. Let's watch some Titus. Let's have some laughs. Let's get past my horrifically bad start to my day. And thanks for being here, guys. I love you guys. I seriously appreciate you guys.
New show doomed to
Up. That's not going to work. See, this is how it happens. Dude, it's just been that kind of day. I need a tech guy.
January 18th, the City Winery in New York, and then January 19th in Boston at the Wilbur Theater.
Titus.
Here's what I found out with this new show. I did a genetic test. I didn't have to do a genetic
had enough of MAGA
test.
today?
There's no waitress that showed
Every
up
day of my
with
life.
a baby with a giant skull and Gary Busey teeth. I just got a genetic test. Found out that my family
What's happening, Jamie Lynn? What's happening,
started the
Phil? What's happening,
Massachusetts
Kay?
colony in 1835.
Yeah, it's just a buckle down
So all you
thing
people
at
in
this
Boston,
point, Jamie. Just buckle
part
down
of that attitude
and,
you
and
guys
wait
have
for that shit to go.
is my family's fault. You are welcome. I'll see you guys this weekend. Can't believe it. Hate doing these fucking promos.
Titus is one of the only people I'll play
I'm
this
Christopher
promo.
Titus, and this is the Armageddon update. Well,
Can they give us an
we
offer?
are only 8 days
Fuck,
into
I'm in.
2025, and the
I'm
doomsday
in.
clock is now being wound and reset by the most dangerous, dumbest douchebag we have ever had as president. I mean, since the last time he was president. After he ran on bringing down prices for...
Hold on. 2.0, we're fucked. Clown shoes 2.0, we're fucked.
He was president. After he ran on bringing down prices...
Very simple word, groceries.
When we learn something new,
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's literally what I'm saying about the... I can't stop saying literally today. That is exactly what I'm saying when I say they think you can just clean the forests or dump ocean water. Donald Trump embodies the stupidity of his followers. He's like, it's a very easy word. It's very simple. It's like 4 letters. Groceries. 4 easy letters. G-R. Oshries. He's like the physical embodiment of their stupidity.
He said he couldn't bring down prices.
It's hard to bring things down once they're up, Trump says. You know, it's very hard.
Yeah,
He said he would
me
end
too,
the war
Jamie.
in Ukraine
I'm
on day
California,
one.
so.
We're going to get that.
What up,
We'll
Gigi?
end it as president-elect. In other words, before I even take over the White House.
Oh, how are those wars going, guys? Fuck, we're about to start like 6 new wars. This is like the insanity that is going on right now, where I still every single day see a news report that is taking seriously Donald Trump talking about taking Greenland. One of the craziest things about Trump is like usually when he says some shit, like it's funny as far as like how dumb it is, and then like the MAGA morons, they grab a hold of it for a couple days, and then their attention span, like it gives up. They see a fucking squirrel, and they're like, oh, something new. But I have seen probably at least 10 days worth of fucking news stories about Donald Trump taking Greenland, and at this point, I'm mildly concerned that Donald Trump is actually going to try to take Greenland. Would you leave those people alone? The fuck did Greenland do, dude? They're just over there just hanging the fuck out. Just trying to do their own, I don't know, whatever the fuck people do in Greenland. It looks cold. Looks really, really cold. All right? They probably do a lot of snow tubing. I bet they do a lot of snow tubing in Greenland. Let them tube in peace, bro. Leave them the fuck alone.
He's kind of gotten very quiet about that. So in 12 days, guys, the war in Ukraine is over. Oh, joy. Right. The guy that couldn't sell steak, water, or vodka is going to stop the Russian war machine.
Go for America.
Cool.
Oh,
When asked if
Jesus.
he would promise to not use military force to take over Greenland,
You didn't rule out military coercion.
Well, we need Greenland for
Yeah,
national
Jamie, I did not hear that, but that
fuck?
does not surprise
and the Panama
me.
Canal.
The Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China.
They're simple people, dude. They can't help themselves. They have trigger words, all right? The brainwashing kicks in. Just wait until we try to build a wall around the Panama Canal. How much you want to make a bet? You guys heard it here first. You heard it here first. I got money that says that Donald Trump, why don't we build a wall? Why don't we build 2 walls? Why don't we just build 2 walls all the way down the Panama Canal? And then we'll put sharks with lasers on their head. Sharks with lasers on their head. That will keep the people from Greenland from getting into the Panama Canal. God damn it.
Again, what the fuck? He said he could not rule it out. He's going to use military...
Risk. There's no water shortage. Holy fuck. Now you're spouting right-wing bullshit Do you know why the Palisades fire? Why they didn't have water risk? You're not this dumb. Why are you repeating right-wing talking points? There's no fucking way you're this dumb. The Palisades Reservoir is on the top of a fucking hill. They didn't run out of water. Jesus fucking Christ. It's not bad enough that I have to worry about right-wing morons coming in here. I'm fucking losing my fucking mind. Coming in here and saying the stupidest fucking shit. Now Risk is going to come in here and tell me there's no fucking water in Los Angeles. Jesus Christ, the left is full of fucking idiots too. I'm losing my fucking mind. There's no water. There's no water. Jesus Christ. Have you talked to anybody in fucking Los Angeles, Risk? No, you haven't. Because you're just as fucking bad. You're just as fucking dumb. Jesus Christ.
Forced to replace that exports salmon and halibut. And
stop spitting right-wing talking points, you morons.
He also wants to acquire Canada.
Okay, go away. Yeah, we'll be right here.
Jesus,
go
fuck.
In fact, we'll just like whistle. Zoom off.
Acquire Canada?
I'm turning into Titus up here.
What the fuck?
Seriously? Holy fuck!
First of all, Canada's not a bed-bug-infested resort you can just buy. And frankly, if Trump took Canada, I can't believe that sentence was even said out loud, Trump would bankrupt Canada
Risk, I know.
in a year after its governor.
Risk, I know you have a fucking hard-on. A fucking massive erection for water shortage. I understand that there is water shortage in the fucking world. Not just America. In the world. Jesus fucking Christ, though. If the fucking Texans lose by 3 in the last fucking minute, Risk, you'd be like, it's because they didn't have enough water on their fucking sideline. You're like, if they had more water, boys, this shit wouldn't be happening. It's Jesus Christ.
Don Jr.
Not every time that something fucking happens,
ski resort.
Can you tie it to the one thing that you are hyper-focused on?
Canada should acquire us.
Risk, are you autistic? That's a serious question. Because I don't want to be yelling at a autistic. Because my son has Asperger's. He's an Aspie. I recognize that people get stuck on one fucking thing. And it's like all they care about the whole time. But not every single fucking thing is because of the water. Water is a problem. It is an issue. But it is not the only goddamn issue. Jesus Christ.
And we could get a piece of all those
today.
Sweet maple syrup millions. Hell yeah. And Melania could be with her true love.
Risk, shut the fuck up. Talk about something other than water. Jesus Christ.
As party leader, as prime minister.
Regarding Greenland, he wants to take Greenland, which is another sentence I can't believe I'm saying. Why? Are we low on Dungeness crab? Greenland's biggest export is fish. Greenland's main export partners are Denmark, China, the United Kingdom, Japan, and Taipei. Greenland's economy is also dependent on the Danish government, which Trump says...
People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it.
The Danish government responded with this. This burnt umber anal polyp is going to start a world war over Atlantic salmon.
About 9,000 notches.
The Panama Canal built in 1914 by Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, he didn't work on it, but he approved it. So we could get stuff cheaply and fast from around the world. We used to own the Panama Canal. We gave it back in 1999.
Yes, we did.
And we had it for 85 years, and we still use it. So does China.
Yes, we do.
Now, Trump wants to take it
got a lot of water.
Possibly with force. Cool. We're
God
with China
damn it.
and invading Panama again. That went so well last time. I'm sure that'll be awesome.
I saw you put out
hear
something
that?
here. I'm going to check it out.
That's the doomsday clock. And now the Gulf of Mexico. Trump wants to name it the Gulf of America. How small is this guy's mushroom? Besides, we already used the Gulf of America to describe the space between his ears. Hey, yo!
Very, very large. A brain.
And for the distance Melania stays away from his hamburger-smelling torso.
Risk,
Sweet Potato Hitler also said, if the Israeli hostages aren't released...
All hell will break out in the Middle East.
First of all, too late. Hell has been raging in the Middle East for 1,200 years before Christ.
Jesus Christ.
And then Trump claimed
Risk will
the
100% fight
which
me
he
over
was
some
impeached
water.
for wasn't an insurrection.
You know, there was never charges of insurrection or anything like that. But if there were, this would be the only insurrection in history where people went in as insurrectionists with not one gun.
I could go on, and I will next week and for the next 4 years, unless I fall out of a window accidentally.
Sure,
Because
buddy.
every sentence this man says is a lie, and that's according to CNN, who fact-checked every bullshit thing he said in this speech. And the saddest part is his lying fucking worked.
Of course
I really
it
want to
works.
thank the Democrats for keeping their composure and playing by the rules.
It works so well that left-wing people pick that shit up. Donald Trump lies so well that he convinces left-wing people to come into left-wing chats and say dumb shit that right-wing people want them to. That's how good he is at this. I told you guys I didn't want to talk about fires. I told you I get worked up.
Rules. While these
I told you a wouldn't even be a MAGA moron that would come in here. I told you it would be somebody from my own fucking side comes in here and is going to continue to regurgitate right-wing talking points. Told you.
corrupt criminals
Fucking
did
summoned
what
him.
they wanted, how they wanted. And a special thanks to Merrick Garland for catching up on his sleep
Right?
for the last 4 years.
You know what? Cheaters never win.
I'll see you guys all on the 21st, and we'll celebrate the end of the Ukraine war. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update.
No water
God
would have saved
damn.
the day.
It started all
I watched that video, Kelly.
It just feels like we were just here.
God damn it. Let's see. Only time, yeah, exactly. When you talk about people that think that you could have put out the fire that was raging in Los Angeles with the Santa Ana winds just absolutely ripping through Los Angeles, it just goes to show how little people know about being in California. I have lived with wildfires my entire fucking life. You're not gonna, I'm sorry, but you're not going to just drop some water on that fire and stop it. You have to contain it. You have to create lines. And sometimes you gotta let shit burn. It's unfortunate. It sucks. And my fucking heart goes out to every single person that was affected by that fire. Because I know all about it. My wife's dad lost his house to a fire. One of my best friends, his family lost his house to a fire. I know all about people losing homes to fires. And it's just so fucking annoying to watch these morons that either on the left or the right come in and just turn this into a political fucking shit show. It's not about politics. It's about people losing their goddamn homes. It's about humanity. There are people on the left that lost their homes. There are people on the right that lost their homes. There are people that are going to be homeless because of this shit. And everybody's got to just come in with their own fucking opinion. They've just got to, fuck that. Forget the fact that these people all lost their houses. I need to tell everybody what I think about the situation. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can just zip it and take a fucking back seat. Let's talk about the homelessness. Lauren Boebert stole this news from me and twisted it into MAGA. Yep, sure, bud. Lauren Boebert stole the water news from you? Lauren Boebert doesn't have any news. Lauren Boebert doesn't even... MTG talks more than Lauren Boebert. What do you mean she stole this from you? She stole the same thing that every person has been talking about for God knows how long, that water is an issue. There are endless documentaries about water becoming, at one point or another, so scarce that we will fight wars over it. But Lauren Boebert stole it from you? Come on, dude. You're telling me Lauren Boebert stole your water, the one thing you think everything is tied to. Lauren Boebert did that. I think Lauren Boebert's a moron, and if you want to make fun of Lauren Boebert, I'll hop right in there with you. I have no problem. Zero issues, okay? But, dude, there's no way that Lauren Boebert, anybody's listening to Lauren Boebert about water scarcity. Come on. Nobody's listening to Lauren Boebert, period. People are
so how
getting
many of
fucking
y'all
handies
saw
for
the movie Leap of
Beetlejuice.
Faith with Steve Martin? For those of you that have seen it, you may know where I'm already going with it.
So many
And for
people
those
are
of you that
stepping up to
haven't,
help.
what he
That's a
plays
good
in this
shit.
movie
That's what
is
they
like a
should be
tent
doing.
preacher, like a televangelist. And he goes around the country having
More
these healing
movies.
services. And when he gets
Sad
there, he's got an
Beetlejuice.
entire entourage that travels with him. And he's got people who literally pretends to be disabled in a wheelchair, and then they'll wheel up there during his healing service. He'll lay hands on them, and they'll jump up, and they'll start, praising God, and he'll say you're healed. And then people in the crowd's like, oh, this is real. And he just goes from town to town grifting people. It's a great movie. You should check it out. But when you watch it, you're going to say, wait a minute, was this movie just meant for entertainment only, or was it a blueprint
No,
for
there's
MAGA?
a reason.
Because that's pretty much exactly what they're doing now. Don Jr., Charlie Kirk, and the gang have went to Green.
Lauren Boebert didn't run on water. Lauren Boebert ran on being MAGA. I literally talked to the guy that was running against her in a fucking interview. Like, you guys give MAGA way too much credit. Do you think that MAGA really gives a shit about water or climate change or wars or being anti-establishment or being anti-corruption? They didn't vote for Lauren Boebert because of what she's talking about. Like, you give them so much credit. They didn't vote for Lauren Boebert because she talked about some issues. They voted for her because they find her good looking. They know that Donald Trump likes her. And every once in a while, she gives somebody a handy at Beetlejuice, and they're like, maybe it'll happen for me. There's no way they voted for her because of her policies. She doesn't have policies.
Greenland. And while they were there, they bribed
Cool,
some
I'll
people
shut the fuck up
into
about Colorado
pretending
if
to
you
be
shut
Trump
the fuck up about
supporters
California, Risk.
so they could then make a video and send it back to us and say, see, the people of Greenland wants us to buy them. It's absolutely ridiculous that the group of people who shouts
Me
the
tired.
loudest against
What's
fake
happening,
news
tired?
does nothing but create fake news and create WWE-style skits and create stories
Reverend
that should
gets to
just
talk
be a
about
movie.
it.
We should just be watching this. Bob Odenkirk would be great in it. I love
happening,
Dan
Candace?
Aykroyd whenever he makes a comeback. I love to see him in movies. This should just be something
she is
they
handy
were
to have
playing
around.
and we were all having a laugh at. But
Like
this
I said,
is the reality
as long as you shut the fuck
that
up
we
about
live in.
California,
I'm
I'll
going to
shut
bring
up
up the
about
story here
Colorado.
over
How
on
about that, Riz?
MinusNews.com. Before I do, if you haven't already, be sure
Don't
and hit
talk
that
about
subscribe
California.
button, hit the like button. If you want to get on the
Oh, well,
conversation,
then I'm
leave
from
a comment.
Colorado.
If not,
How
just
about
leave
that?
a blue heart, and that helps to boost these videos in
Riz
the
gets to
algorithm.
talk about
so here we
everything.
go, folks. Busted.
You're tired?
Trump's Greenland supporters were homeless and socially disadvantaged people bribed with hotel dinners. Folks, really,
Jesus
you can't get any
Christ.
lower than this, honestly. Now, here's the picture that Don Jr. has sent back.
You know Don Jr. tried to give him some cocaine, too. Don Jr. was like, look, I tell you what, you have a choice. You can have, like, the cocaine that's in my pocket, or you can have some dinner. You chose the dinner? What's wrong with you?
This is so sad, really. Let's go ahead and read this. As it turns out, sources have told Danish news outlet
Chris
DR
gets to
News
talk about California.
that the supporters wearing fresh MAGA
Risk
hats
is the
during
only
a
one
visit
from America.
Trump's representatives Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk were homeless and socially disadvantaged people who were bribed with hotel dinners.
God
Several
damn it.
sources now tell
It just
DR
gets
that a
lower and
portion of the
lower.
people
The
who
bar can
appeared
go
in the
no
video
lower.
from Trump's campaign people are homeless and socially disadvantaged who often find themselves outside, I can't pronounce this name, which is located directly opposite.
Hold on, what is this ad? Look at the ad. Trump makes convicted drug dealer Greenland purchase poster boy. Is that real? Wait, what? Oh, he's probably from Greenland, right? He's allowed to talk about Greenland because he's from Greenland, right, Risk? Probably tell you about some
hotel
goddamn
hands.
water.
Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk described the warm reception that was described as a group of Greenlandic Trump supporters. MAGA accounts on social media used the footage of Trump talking on speakerphone to the group as evidence for his proposal.
Dude, the fact that he took Charlie Kirk over there too, it's like, what are we trying to do to these people? That is like, It's bad enough they have to look into our country and see the insanity that is happening in our country. And then, like, it's like, you know, fucking January 9th. Trump's not even in office yet. And his son and Charlie Kirk are coming to your country. I feel so bad for Greenland. Look, at this point, I'm 100% with anybody that wants to build a wall to keep America out. At this point, I completely understand. If I go to get a passport and travel to Greenland and it gets declined because I'm American, I'm actually going to be like, I understand. That's a good call. I am going to support. It's like when you have a friend and they're an alcoholic and you're an alcoholic and you know they're trying to get better and they're like, dude, I just got to cut ties with you. I got to cut because, like, I can't be around you because you drink so much. It makes me want to drink. And it's just like things are going to be bad for me. So I got to do it. It's the same thing. It's like, I understand. You guys, we sent Charlie Kirk and Don Jr. to your country and passed out MAGA hats that were made in China. All in like a fucking, like, some kind of like faux campaign to take Greenland for some fucking weird reason. Jesus Christ. It's understandable.
To annex Greenland as part of the United States.
Build the walls.
Now,
Build
right
all
here
of
you
them.
see where Don Jr. shared this. Greenland loves America and Trump.
He is convicted
incredible.
now.
People with equally awesome reception. They just want to be able to utilize some of the incredible resources
super chat me
that they have and
risk,
allow themselves, their country, and their kids to flourish.
Super
So
chat
look at
me
this picture,
$1,000.
folks. This guy is straight up Steve Martinelli.
We'll make it happen. I got
right
boxing
here.
gloves
This is
out
so
in the fucking
disgusting.
garage, dude. We'll put the gloves on.
So now we learned the group support was likely transactional.
100%.
DR reported it's homeless and old people who can't make ends meet, who can suddenly eat at a restaurant they've never been in before, says Tom Amkoff, who has lived in Greenland for 28 years. He recognizes several of the faces in the photos.
Super chat me $1,000. We'll put on the boxing gloves out in my garage.
It
We'll
truly is. So DR
100%.
News reported on others who were able to identify individuals who traded support for a nice meal at a hotel.
Dog.
Trump's team found one of the men living under a bridge.
I'm down.
This isn't the first time Trump has staged events.
I'm down with whatever
Midas
you want,
Touch has
dog.
exposed many staged events during Trump's campaign. Staged
Super
pizza
chat it.
delivery,
Make it happen.
fake union workers, fake construction workers, staged customers at fast food restaurants. Why would Trump's staged events take a
Gonna bring
break
some
just
water, though, I
because
hope.
he won? And that's a very good point. They've not taken a break at all. None of his stage ops have taken a break, and none of his grifts have taken a break, and they're not.
Yeah, I saw Putin, Michael. I saw Putin was like, no, actually, we're trying to take Greenland. Why would I pay you, Risk? Why the fuck would I pay you? Come on. Why would I pay you? I'm the one with the platform. Oh, is your biggest channel? Let me see. What is your biggest channel, Risk? What's your biggest channel? Let's go look at Risk's biggest channel. Tell us all about it. Tell us what your channel's name is, because I watch your videos, Risk. I've been to your channels. Tell me what your biggest channel is. We'll go to it. And then we'll MMA it up, buddy. We'll make it happen. I only spar with my kid right now, so I'll be happy to do it. I have my 11-year-old fight you. Looky, you don't have a bigger channel, dog. You talk so much shit. You're hilarious.
Not going to, because that's what he's all about. But to go into another country and take advantage of the homeless people there and to bribe them with dinners just to get them to wear that hat and pose in that picture is one of the most disgusting things. And folks, I did videos on all those other stage moments that he had, and we talked about it. And the reason why we showed those things and continue to try to talk about
out of shape.
is because, again,
I'm in a
people
shape.
are voting for Trump because they think he will make their life better. People in
wants
my
a
part of the
proper
world,
duel?
right here in Appalachia,
Are we
they
talking
really
Pistolas or
believe that
rapiers?
Donald Trump has their best interests at heart. And so what I have tried my best to go out of my way to show people around here is, here's a guy going into another country that he says he's going to buy, which we shouldn't even be doing that crap to start with, but he's going to do that. Go into these countries, find homeless people, have them wear...
Dude, This is what MAGA wants, though. This is what MAGA likes. MAGA likes Jerry Springer entertainment. It's like, can you imagine Joe Biden, like Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders? Can you imagine Bernie Sanders? And Bernie Sanders, we're gonna buy Greenland. There's a lot of income disparity. I almost went to Fat Albert, actually, right there. Income disparity in Greenland right now. And we need to buy it. We're going to use Donald Trump's money. We're going to use Donald Trump's money to buy Greenland. We finally got to Bernie.
Wear his hat and then stand there and lie to you. Why would that man ever have your best interest at heart? Why would you feel safe thinking that he has your best interest at heart if he would prey upon homeless people and bribe them with a dinner? And growing up, my grandpa was a Republican. Actually, both grandpas were Republicans. And the one thing that neither of them could stand was the grifting televangelist. And they used to warn me about him all the time. They both were believers. They both went to church. But they always told me, don't follow after people like that. They're only out for your money. And they're going to tell you that they did these marvelous things. They're going to tell you that they performed all these miracles and did all these great deeds. And it's all for show. It's all for theater. They're grifting you. They're
6 out of 10.
Thanks, those were the words that my grandfathers told me back when I was a little kid. And then when I went digging into the Bible, I found verses talking about that very thing, that there will be people in the last days that will stand before God and say, but we did all these works in your name. And he will say, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. I'm not a Christian. I've said many times on the channel, I'm agnostic, but I still read and study the Bible every day. And when I do, I can't understand how anyone could take that message of Jesus Christ and somehow believe that it in any way
I get
anywhere close to being aligned with Trump.
Make
it's
fun
the
of water.
farthest thing from it.
He gets really
As a
upset.
matter of fact, if Jesus was to come today preaching that message, Don Jr. would be all over Twitter, and I'm sure Elon would suspend his account because they wouldn't allow him on there. They would not allow him on their platform spreading the message of love and acceptance and free health care and helping people out. There's no way. But to take advantage of homeless people, and in the same breath, you're the ones that are supposed to have morals and values.
Dude, but come on, Tennessee. This is what I'm saying. I'm done with, like, any type of taking any of this shit serious. I mean, you should take it serious in the way of, like, they're gonna cause some issues. They're gonna break some shit. They're gonna do bad and dishonest things. But I'm not taking seriously anymore, like, that they're in any way, shape, or form, like, a legit political, like, party, right? Like, anything that Trump campaigned on, anything that Don Jr., it's all just a stunt now, man. Like, I don't even know. In 2016, maybe Trump really thought he was going to build a wall. I don't think he did. He didn't even try to build the wall until, like, the last fucking second. It's just like fireworks. Trump is, like, literally that guy. He's like, this is what people want. They want me to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. It's like nationalist shit. Now, mind you, Nazi Germany probably started the same way, so there should probably be something that we should be concerned about there. But it's hard for me to, like, talk about this shit the way that Tennessee Brando does. Like, Brando's, like, giving them good faith that they were even trying to do this. I don't think so. Like, didn't Trump just come up with another new thing that he's trying to sell? Didn't he just come out with yet another thing that he wants to sell? I don't think any of this is even an attempt to govern in the first place. I would not be fucking surprised if Donald Trump just, like, goes and golfs for the entirety of his fucking presidency while Trump Jr., Charlie Kirk, and whatever other clowns from the fucking circus travel around the world with fucking doing Instagram lives and trying to get fucking subscribers on YouTube. Like, that's what I expect from this. And the whole time, probably behind the scenes, you're going to have tech billionaires like Musk, like Bezos, like fucking Zuckerberg, who just came out and decided he's going to, fall in line. Like, that's what's going to be going on behind the scene. It's oligarchy. It's oligarchy. No longer. Even the guy who literally got himself into the office just for his own ego He's not even going to give a shit anymore. He's just going to let them run rampant and do whatever the fuck they want. You're going to have California forever in East Solana County. They're going to have Colorado forever right in Risk's neighborhood. They're going to drink all his goddamn water. Hey, drink all Risk's water. Risk, are you blocking people? Don't become what you hate, Risk. Don't become what you hate. Don't start blocking people. You complain all the time about blocking people, and I don't actually block you. If you're blocking people, that's a punk move, dog. Punk move.
You're the ones that's supposed to be patriotic. You're the ones that's supposed to love your country. Again, folks, I'm going to be saying this a lot over the next 4 years and probably beyond that.
De agua.
I'm going to continue to say, don't ever let these people tell you they're the party of morals and values. Don't ever let them guilt trip you or make you feel bad for any mistake in this world that you've ever made, because it's one thing to make mistakes, learn from them, and move on. It's another thing to continue to embrace a man who we show you day in and day out just how he's playing you. It's not like we're pulling the stuff out of our ass. We show it to you. There it is. There's the proof. What more do you need? But they can't accept it.
Tired and definitely fighting with you.
They just cannot accept it. And they just continue to fight for the guy. And I really believe when the dust settles from all this and we're all trying to pick up the pieces in the end, I believe the Trump supporters in my part of the world will probably hate me more than they did Trump. Because they will look around and go, well, at least Trump made us feel special for a while. Brando just made us feel like a dumb.
And that's it right there. Nail on the head right there. Trump made us feel special for a while. That's all people want. People just want to be told they're right. And it doesn't matter whether it's the right, the left. It doesn't matter. People just want to be told that whatever, like, the thing that is that they believe the most in, whether it's Risk that wants to be told that really every single problem in this world comes down to water scarcity or whatever it is. That's all they want. And I'm not that person. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're like right because it's going to make you feel better. It's not. In the long run, it doesn't make you feel better because it's not being right that makes you feel good. It's being correct. It's actually like knowing and solving an issue. And Trump supporters they're not concerned about solving an issue. They just want Trump to tell them everything is going to be okay until they finally pass away. They don't want to believe that climate change is real because it's too big of a problem for them to solve. It's too much. It's too complex for them to get into and to care about every day of their life. It's an onus for them. They want to just eat cheeseburgers and fucking die of a fucking heart attack. Like that's what they want to do. And they want the whole time they want to believe that they're going to go to this special place where they're going to probably like hang out with Donald Trump because it's heaven and that's their favorite guy. Like, they're simple people. That's all they want. And yeah, they're going to hate people like Tennessee Brando. They're going to hate people like Pac-Man, like Tyler Cohen. They're going to hate people, anybody that says that Donald Trump is wrong, they're going to hate him. Because they just want it all to be like entertaining. They want it to be fun. They don't want to ever have their toes stepped on. They don't want to ever be told they're wrong. They just want a guy that will stand up there and say, are you a racist? You're not really racist. They're the ones that are messed up, not you. You're like me. That's what they want. They're going to hate people like Tennessee Brando. And you know what? That's a badge of fucking honor. It's a badge of honor.
So I realize there's probably never going to be reconciliation with people in my part of the world, but I just did this because I didn't want my grandchildren to look back on this period of time. When they look back on this period of time, I wanted them to understand that I'm one that didn't fall for it. That I'm one that did not buy into it, and I spoke for the people around here that didn't. Not everybody in my part of the world can sit down like this and make YouTube videos. A lot of people have to feed their family, and they can't lose their job, and they can't lose their livelihood, and I completely understand it. And mine's basically on the line here every day now. When I get on here, I say to myself, okay, how much longer will we have platforms? But as long as I have a platform, I'm going to be sitting here letting everyone know that I didn't buy into that grift. I didn't fall for it. And there's a whole lot of people right here in Tennessee, Southeast Kentucky, all around me. There's way more blue dots than you might realize. We might have got outnumbered on this last election, but there are more reasonable people who are...
What's happening, Fan? 3 months! Fan, you've been here for 3 months! Risk will be back. As soon as I mention water, he'll be back. Risk is infatuated. Like, he can't help himself. It's his one thing. Like I said, it's something about people, man. There's so many people out there, and it's like they want to believe, like, especially like really super conspiracy theory people, right? Like, what Risk believes is right. There is a water scarcity problem in America, in the world, and eventually there will be wars fought over water, over clean water. There will be wars fought over it. Specifically here in California, there is a problem with the Wonderful Company and the amount of money and the amount of water that they own. There's problems with farmers that introduce crops that suck up huge amounts of water like almonds do, and then they clear them out because they get subsidies by destroying the crops. There's tons to talk about when it comes to water scarcity. But we have this really weird thing that we do in our society, specifically conspiracy theory type of people, but also just fucking average everyday people as well, and that you find like one thing that really you think makes sense and binds it all together. And then that one thing becomes this focal point, and everything has to in some way be 6 degrees to fucking water scarcity. And it doesn't always have to be that. You can literally have different complex reasons for why one thing happened, and yours be one of them. And that's where we have this huge issue in society nowadays. Like, it's like me, like, you guys heard me talk about techno-libertarianism, right? It's like if I just said to myself, that's it. That's the problem. It's techno-libertarianism. There's no other things going on in our society. There's not a problem with our education. There's, people aren't legitimately upset about being economically depressed. Like, and I just focus always on techno-libertarianism. It's always that. It's always that. It's always that. There's a problem with that, because it doesn't take into account all the other factors that go along with life, and that's very MAGA-ish. It is very conspiracy theory-ish to believe that every single thing can be traced back to this one central factor, and that's it. Even like capitalism, right? Like, a lot of the things that go along with capitalism, the things I dislike about capitalism, you can trace tons of things back to money. You can trace tons of problems and issues in our society back to capitalism. But it's not just capitalism. There's a lot of other things. There's corrupt politicians that espouse these crazy beliefs and get you to want to divide yourself from the other people within your society based off of like the stupidest reasons. There's tons of religious issues in our society that have created like these huge gaps in these, not just in wealth, but in mentality about who's good and who's not. Like, there's so much to this world. It is complex, and it is nuanced, and it is complicated. It is very rare that it all can be traced back to one thing. It's the Alan Moore quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. And that is, the problem with conspiracy theory is that people think that there is this one small group of people and they are in control of the entire world. But the reality is much, much scarier. The reality is the world is a huge place and no one is in control. And that is much, much scarier.
Sick of this show, who are sick of these grifts. And folks, grifts like this has made me absolutely, I don't know that I'd want to watch the movie Leap of Faith with Steve Martin anymore.
Cajun.
I don't know if I'd want to see it because it would just hit too close to home. And I'm still not really in a position where I can watch Saturday Night Live just yet because I can't laugh about it.
Danny.
And comedians that I love and respect, I just can't necessarily listen to their Trump jokes at the moment because there's nothing funny about it.
Yeah, see, we got stuck on fire talk. Yeah, Trump's talking about building a pipeline for water to California. Once again, these are literal pipe dreams. Like, you're talking about cutting government spending. Like, the people that I was looking at their comments, that was just drive me fucking nuts, were the people that are like, oh, you spent all that money on homeless people and DEI and you didn't have any money for infrastructure or water. Like, when did you become this fucking expert on how to properly get water to somewhere like Los Angeles? Like, what did you do to get yourself to a place where you can go and say, oh, what they need to do is this, or they need to do that? Like, even if you have a background in schooling, even if you have gone through as a job and you have 10, 20 years worth of experience. That's a lot like me saying, because I have 20 years in grocery, that's like me saying, oh, this store in Pennsylvania that I've never been to, that I have no fucking idea what their customer basis looks like, what their pricing looks like, whether or not they run promotions, whether or not they have a good staff. It's like me saying, oh, it's a really simple fix. They just need to do this one thing that I like to do, and then their whole fucking thing would be fixed. That's not how it works. It doesn't even matter that I have 20 years in the grocery industry. From over here, I can't tell you what the problem is. I would have to literally sit down. I would have to go through analytics regarding like their reports, their monthlies. I would need to talk to their staff. I would need to work in the store. I would need to get to know their customer basis. I would need to take a look at their promotions and their promotional schedules. I need to learn who their business partners are, what vendors they work with, the distributors they work with. I need to look at their books and see, how their buyers are doing. Like there would be, you can't just, people just want to be able to say, oh, it's just X and you could fix this. But it's not that fucking easy. And so Trump appeals to people by saying these stupid fucking things like, I'm going to build a pipeline to California and all the water's just going to go there. That's so simple-minded that you think most people will be like, it can't possibly be that easy. No, all of these people are like, it's that easy. Just build a pipeline and California's got water. Yeah, nobody's ever fucking thought about that before. Nobody's ever thought about that. Jesus Christ. Yeah, there is a pipe. Yeah, of course there is. Of course there's pipelines. Thank you for the $5 fan. They've invested their ego so much they treat people being wrong like it's the same as dying. It's pathetic. People need to give up their pride. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a pride thing. And the funniest thing is people like my friend Risk will sit there and say that people are too prideful. Risk will say that like people like me just don't want to be wrong. And it's like, I'm wrong all the fucking time. I was wrong twice today. I gave my kid shit for bringing his Crocs instead of his boots. I was wrong for that. Like you say sorry. You're like, yeah, I'm frustrated too, dog. Like it's so crazy to see people that are just like, they tell other people they're too prideful and that they're wrong and they got to accept it. But they themselves are the most prideful fucking people and refuse to ever admit that they're incorrect. It's fucking insane, and it's an issue. It's a real issue. Windmills just push the clouds around.
About this. To prey upon homeless people like that and bribe them just to push your agenda into the world is one of the most disgusting, un-Christ-like things that I've ever seen.
Good job,
and
Nina.
I'm sure as we go forward, there'll just be more stories like that break because I have no faith.
Nina, like that's literally what I'm saying. Is like, I'm like, I just don't want to be in here arguing with people over the fires, and it ended up happening anyways. Always ends up happening because you can't. Everybody's a fucking expert. Next it'll be the bird flu. Next, everybody and their mom will be telling us whether or not humans can get bird flu. Like that'll be the next one. I mean, let me back up. Let's go ahead and say I'm incorrect right away because with Donald Trump in office. You get to be a new expert every other day. You're like an expert on foreign affairs in Greenland. You're an expert on whether or not we should change the names of things that are already on maps. 100% at one point or another, the avian flu will become a bigger issue. And when it does, you will see nothing but a bunch of fucking people jumping online and being like, bro, people can't even, like, the avian flu doesn't even, humans can't get it. So, like, they're lying to you. It's all a government cover-up that they're trying to make you take more vaccines so they can put the bill bots in you so that way they can steal your land so that way they can make you destitute. Like, that's like, every once in a while, dog, you can just say, that sucks. It sucks. And that's the fires right now, man. The fires are just like 100%, like, it sucks. I don't give a shit if you're a conservative or a Democrat or whatever. Losing your home to fire is terrible. And we don't need to be up in people's faces saying like, oh, this is who it is. It's because of new scum. Oh, it's because they're running California out of water. It's like, you could literally just say, my heart goes out to those people. That sucks. Like when that shit happened with the hurricanes over there, what's the only thing that we talked about for the hurricanes? We talked about MTG's dumbass saying that there was a hurricane machine, which I'm super surprised right now that MTG has not came out and said the fires were started by space lasers. Although I did see that there is already conspiracy theories because of the palm trees being untouched. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe MTG is just not tweeting about her space laser theory right now. But when that shit happened over in Florida, like, I'm not trying to be a hurricane expert. I'm not trying to tell people, you know, fucking, like, what is or what isn't going to save those people in North Carolina. It's just, it sucks. It sucks you lost your fucking house to a hurricane. We can stop there.
Faith that MAGA will ever truly see the light and live life for the greater good.
Only one beer
But
left.
I do appreciate y'all
What's
so
that,
much
Talia?
for helping me to build this platform. We got it over 500,000 subscribers, and I've been steering most of my content here and mostly on Blue Sky. I don't really know how I feel about Facebook and Instagram at the moment.
Max, that's what I said. Max, that's exactly what I said. We've got to have learned how to inject bleach by now. I was like, 100%, if the bird flu becomes a pandemic, we are going to hear the words, can you inject disinfectant? Can you shove a light bulb up someone's butt and get the UV inside of them? Is it possible? Have we tried it? Have we tried it? I'll go first. I'll go first. Put the light bulb right in there, just like that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like we remember the HQC people that drank aquarium cleaner. We remember the old people that drank the bleach. People that are much older than me, even though Riss wants to be super ageist and talk shit about how old I am. Very ageist, bro. But we saw it. Can you imagine what's going to happen? What's something that birds... Hold on. What's something that maybe like a bird veterinarian drug? I bet you there's a bird parasite veterinarian drug out there that people are gonna be trying to take. How much you want to make a bet? Some type of like antibiotic for birds or something like that. Like that's what people are gonna be. They're gonna be just like tearing that shit up. They're gonna be all up in the store trying to get fucking bird antibiotics. Quote me on that. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You saw a palm tree on fire? What's happening, Midas Kevin? What's going on? Mel Gibson. Yeah, I saw Mel Gibson lost it. I saw he lost his house. That sucks, but I also saw he lost it on Rogan as well. Amoxicillin, bird mite medicine. That's a possibility. Any one of those guys. Alex Jones will sell it. Yes, 100%. 100%. I think I just kind of talked over Tennessee Brando that whole time. I'm sorry, Tennessee Brando. Risk got me all riled up. That's what happens. I told you guys I didn't want to talk about fucking the fires. Hold on. I'm going to go turn on the Steelers game. It's going to take me half a second. Okay, it's right over here, okay? Oh, wait. Actually, there it is. Never mind. I don't have to go over there. I have my remote right here. We have the remote right next to us, actually. Okay, let's play this while I do it. I don't know why I'm...
These individuals have weaponized government, and we risk revolution, whether it's CEOs being in the street, whether it's a Me Too movement that had righteous components of it, or Black Lives Matter.
Hold on, what?
These individuals have weaponized government, and we risk revolution, whether it's CEOs being in the street, whether it's a Me Too movement that had righteous components of it, or Black Lives Matter. What are these movements? They are targeting the wealthy. We are in the midst of a series of small revolutions to correct income inequality. And the reason we put an insurrectionist and a rapist in office...
Damn! Yeah, it's on Prime. I just realized that. I was trying to find it on YouTube TV. Birds aren't real. It was, Kay. It was a joke. Okay, so here you go. so you guys know this. This is what happens. Like, 4chan started a bunch of that shit too, right? The birds aren't real thing. We know that it was started as a joke. Yet I had an employee at one point that her boyfriend steadfastly believed that birds aren't real. Steadfastly believed birds aren't real. That's what I'm saying. Is people just, they get one thing and they just glom onto it. And it's just that one thing is the truth. The birds aren't real, bro. Like, you fucking, could we, anything else? Talk about something? No, the birds aren't real. So that means that bird flu ain't real, right? That's what it's going to be. It's going to be bird flu. Birds aren't real, therefore there is no avian bird flu. That's what they're going to go for. I need to go back because this guy was spitting. This guy was spitting hot fire right here. Who is this guy? Scott Galloway? I don't even know who Scott Galloway is.
Movements. They are targeting the wealthy. We are in the midst of a series of small revolutions to correct income inequality. And the reason we put an insurrectionist and a rapist in office is because for the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. Why? Because the majority of households are having the oxygen sucked out of the room such that a small number of individuals and a small number of companies can be worth more than nation states. Income inequality is out of control. Our tax policy
100%.
has gone full oligarch.
100%. And it all started with Reagan, man. It all started there. Like, the best the middle class had ever been was when the upper middle class was taxed, what, like 91%, I think it was? 91%? Not upper middle class, the ultra wealthy, the elites were being taxed 91%, the corporations. That's the best the middle class was ever. And it came from a time much like this, the original Gilded Age, that created this income disparity, and people had had enough of the shit. And they just got tired of it. And finally, you had people that stepped forward to, like, represent people. And then the exact same fucking thing happened. The equivalent of a reality TV show person. Reagan was the equivalent of what Trump is now, even though Reagan would probably roll in his grave knowing the bullshit that Trump's done. Even Reagan probably would look at Trump and be like, maybe not that far. Maybe not that far, bro. But he was the same person. It was the charisma. It was that he was an actor. Didn't he put out that record? Didn't he put out a record and send it around to everybody? And it talked about how if you didn't do something about like what was going on in America at that time, it was fear of the other. It was the barbarians at the gate, but he put it on like a record, I'm pretty sure, and sent it around to households. And that's what made him like really gain popularity and got him the presidency. Like, this is where we're at, is that we are at that portion in our politics that Aristotle talked about, that you are either going to see this huge gap in the between the wealthy and the working class turn into revolution, or it is going to turn into extreme control through oligarchy. And oligarchy, of course, has forms of tyranny that are involved in it. So when you have a tyrannical boss, president, king, running the show with a bunch of oligarchs behind it, generally those are really short-lived. And that's because almost always the eventuality is that people will rise up and fight against it. And they don't want to live in this constant disparity. But right now, the weird thing we have is this like opening stages of oligarchy where the masses are still like very much under the spell of the oligarchs and tend to believe because Trump's going to name it the Gulf of America that he gives a shit about you. It's fucking crazy. Jesus.
You just heard from Scott Galloway. He is a professor of marketing at New York University's Stern School of Business, and he is worth more than $100 million. But yet, he was on mainstream media saying something that
No shit.
was absolutely spot on, which is surprising to me. Now, I want to use his comments as a bit of a jumping off point for a broader conversation about income and wealth inequality, because what he's touching on here is very important. Everything we are seeing right now, political instability, social unrest, increasing radicalization, and fascism, isn't happening for no reason. It's happening because we've reached the final stage of capitalism, and literally every...
And if you want to be like super graceful to Cenk, you could even say, do I say his name wrong? Is it Cenk with the CH or is it with a J? Somebody help me out with that shit, because like I always say it wrong. I'm guessing it's Cenk. If you want to be super graceful to him and like say some of the things he's believing have like some tenuous grasp on reality, it's that, right? Like you could see how somebody that's super anti-establishment might look at what's going on today and go like, oh man, like if only we all like bonded together, like we would be unstoppable. This is what has to happen. You have to really, really like join up with those that are on the same level as you. And like, and really, it is Cenk. Okay. Cenk. All right. It's like, I don't think we're there. Like I said, I think that MAGA Republicans, the only way that MAGA Republicans recognize that what they have done is given in to like the darker side of their personalities, taking like the easy route. And it's the easy route for a reason. It feels good to them. And so they're never going to like look to him and be like, oh man, yeah, we could bond up. They're part of the problem right now. They're on that team. And the only way that they're not on that team is if Trump and Elon and Vivek and the rest of those guys do something to them. Not to other people, because they don't care what happens to other people. Like, they don't care if it's a Hispanic MAGA supporter and Hispanic people start getting deported. They will come up with some crazy excuse for why it's acceptable. Oh, well, actually, those people were criminals. And, oh, I came over legally and they came over illegally. Even if, like, their grandparents didn't, right? They'll come up with some way to find their way out of that conundrum of how they can support Trump and also be anti-establishment or anti-corruption, right? But there is something to that if we're being completely graceful, if we're giving good faith to the argument, that right now is probably the most upset, the most dysfunctional or chaotic that the proletariat has been, the base has been, right? So if you're gonna have a chance, if you're Cenk, if you're gonna have a chance to become like this main figurehead of this movement, you're probably thinking like, right now I gotta start doing it, and I gotta start bringing these people in. But what he doesn't really understand is that he's actually like carving off more people than he's actually pulling in. And unless he's going to actually make a full right-wing grift, which he keeps saying over and over again he's not doing, then that's the counter of what he should be doing. If you really want to appeal to people on the basic level of that, like, we're all disenfranchised, we have very little political representation, the people that we do like, that do represent us, don't have a loud enough voice, oligarchs and corporations have too much money, which equals too much resource, that equals too much voice. If you really want to like go that route, then probably the best possible thing to do is to work within the left, the progressive left, because that is where resides the majority of the oppressed or marginalized communities. That's what I would think. But for some reason, they've decided to go like the exact opposite. I just don't understand it.
Every aspect of human life has now become commodified. Americans and workers around the world really have been squeezed for every penny at the behest of the ruling class, and common distractions that once kept us all in line are no longer sufficient because things are just that bad. It's hard to distract us when daily life at this point in time makes a lot of us miserable. People don't have health care, and if they do, it's too expensive. They can't retire. They can't buy houses. They live paycheck to paycheck. People are desperate, and that desperation is growing. And the main avenue that regular working class people once had to address these grievances, which was through politics, has been hijacked by the wealthiest people in the country. A 2014 Princeton University study found that average citizens have a statistically insignificant impact on policy outcomes, whereas economic elites and wealthy...
And this is one we watched a long time ago with Legia Miller. Legia Miller went over how your vote does not affect actual policy, right? So this is what I said before. People need to stop talking about wealth as money, right? It's resources. If you want to like talk about how much of a, let's see, advantage. If you want to talk about how much of an advantage that the ultra elites have over even the working class, even the upper middle class, because to be honest with you, the middle class is really the poverty class, and the upper middle class is really the middle class. And that's why the middle class is so weak, is because the upper middle class is actually just the middle class, and there's not a huge portion of our society that is upper middle class. So if you want to think about the types of advantage that the elites, the ultra wealthy, the corporations have, it really comes down to, or boils down to, resources, because wealth equals resources, and wealth equals voice, since you can use that money to then lobby politicians and create policy and to influence legislation. It's one of the reasons you now see Lena Khan is going to be removed by Donald Trump, because Lena Khan was actually fighting for Americans and actually doing good things through the consumer protections agencies, actually doing good things through antitrust and keeping monopolies from existing. Ask yourself, why did Mark Zuckerberg go over to Trump? Why do you think that people like Bezos are going with Trump? And that's because Lena Khan, when she was running, because she's not going to be soon, the administration's FCC branch, she was bringing antitrust lawsuits against all these people. They sued Google and won over the fact that they monopolized the browser industry. They sued Meta and won. They sued Apple and won. If you want to know why all these tech oligarchs and stuff are moving over to Trump, it's because whether or not it's the most insane thing you've ever heard in your life or not, because you just absolutely think anybody that's an establishment politician must be the most corrupt and terrible person on earth, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did a lot of things that were super progressive. And it did not sit well with people like Mark Zuckerberg in Meta, who wanted to have free reign to do whatever they want because they have a bunch of money, which means they have a bunch of resources, which means they have the loudest voice in the room. And they were getting upset that people on the left, instead of listening to them, were actually fucking bullying them into doing what they wanted them to do. And that's like one of the things that drives me so nuts about these conversations nowadays, is it feels like people like Jank, and also other people, by the way, on the internets, that they think that they have to shit on what Biden's administration did, because if they don't, then they're establishment. If I don't say that Joe Biden was a terrible fucking president, then I agree with what's going on in Gaza. If I don't say that Joe Biden was a terrible fucking president, then I'm not anti-establishment. But if you look at a lot of shit that happened under Lena Khan, a lot of that was anti-establishment. A lot of it was antitrust. A lot of it was good, and you're seeing the results now of these people. BlackRock just dropped their investments in climate change and stuff. That's because BlackRock was never not pro climate change. They were never anti-climate change. They didn't give a fuck about climate change. They care about money. So every one of these people have these voices that he's about to explain here that influence our politics and our legislation because they have huge amounts of resources. Money equals resources. And when you have a loud voice, the loudest voice, and you have the most resources, these studies show you get to choose what America does. And those of us who make up the majority of the country don't get to even have a fucking, just a whisper of a voice in this stuff. And these studies prove it, because it goes to show that when this legislation is profitable for elites or ultra wealthy corporations and they back it, it passes 99% of the time. And when the elites remove themselves from that equation, it never passes at all. So you have this incredibly small group of people in America that have this incredibly large amount of resources that continue to influence legislation and policy to be more and more in their favor. And at this point, we have no voice at all. So the only place this can go is that we have negative voice. Like, it's fucking insane. We got to stop talking about his wealth. We got to start talking about his resources. And these studies just prove that the more resources you have, the better off you are. And we have no resources. So we need to do something about
The interest groups are the only ones who see the policies that they want enacted into law. Take this 2024 Data for Progress survey, for example. As you can see, the majority of Americans support pretty progressive policies, an expansion of Social Security, as well as rent caps, a $17 an hour minimum wage, Medicare for all, free college, among other things. And a healthy republic would understand that things are bad and the population wants that, and they would respond by enacting those policies, delivering these things that will help people to their constituents. But if politicians were to do that, then their wealthy donors wouldn't be too happy, since those policies all would inhibit their ability to squeeze even more money out of us. Elites don't want to expand Social Security because they want to privatize it and profit off of it.
Yeah. And what are we doing? We're down here arguing over water. We're arguing over whatever pet, like, logical, fallacy that we found ourselves sunk cost into, right? Like, that's the problem. And that's why I get so irritated with people that come in with their one shtick, their one spiel. That's why I get all worked up and fight with people, is because it's like, this is my main problem with left-wing politics, is that, just so you guys know, I've been talking to Benjamin Dixon very little. Like, I get very, very little of anybody's time, right? And that's understandable. These guys are bigger than me. I do this as like my side hustle. Like, my job is my job, and then I come on here and try to do something good. Like, I just want to try and do something good. That's all I'm fucking trying to do. So I like to get on here. I like to talk. So I get it. Most of these bigger guys aren't going to give me any time. I understand that. But in talking to Benjamin Dixon, the little bit I have talked to him, we've discussed the potential of having, a left-wing conglomeration of voices, because that's what you do. When you're not big enough, you need to bond together and find common cause, so that way, with your powers combined, fucking we become Voltron, and we have a big voice, and we get shit done. And one of the things that drives me nuts is something I was thinking about left-wing media and just left-wing politics in general, is that you do want people with different opinions. You just want them within the left talking to each other. So we don't want right-wing people like Charlie Kirk saying transgender people don't deserve equal rights. We don't want, white nationalists like Nick Fuentes saying that, marginalized communities and minorities are subhumans. Like, that's not an acceptable point of view, and it should never be brought into the sphere of debate, because even debating it in some way legitimizes it. It's not like, like I said, I'm not going to argue with people about the stupid fucking rake the forest bullshit, right? Like, it's not worth it. So I think that one of the biggest problems with the left is that we all have this one thing that we really, really, really dislike. It's our tick. It's our, and I'm sure I have one too. And that stops us from supporting people that have our common good in mind, because they have one thing that we dislike. And it's one of the things that I want to talk with Benjamin Dixon about, is creating this ecosystem where you can have left-wing people that have disagreements on certain things. The Gaza Hamas, or I guess they're the same people, the Hamas-Israel conflict, the left should be able to talk to each other about that. They should have a real conversation, and it can be nuanced, where you can both accept that the casualties that are going on in Gaza aren't acceptable, and women and children dying in a conflict because, governments want to play God aren't acceptable. And at the same time, also express that we don't want the people that are there that are being held hostage to just be, forgotten about. Like, you should be able to have a conversation that's nuanced within the left and still be able to support each other. And that's the ecosystem that I would like to build. And I feel so fucking frustrated because I don't feel it's possible, because a person will come into my chat and have one fucking thing that they disagree with me on, and they will lose their goddamn mind and say, I will never watch this channel, never support you ever again. And of course, I'm the type of person that goes, I don't care, go for it, that's fine. But in reality, if you want to build an ecosystem for the left, then the left is going to have to find common cause. And then, yes, Jank, eventually, if you can find some fucking MAGA Republicans that aren't completely fucking racist, don't have complete fear of the other, that aren't completely filled with anger, hate, and vitriol, yeah, find common cause with those people, have a beer, and help them recognize that there's no way in the world that people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are ever going to have their best interests in mind. That's what we have to do. Spelling with a C, pronounced with a J. Jake. I've got it. I think I've got it. Yeah, but a real think tank of real people. Not these high-minded fucks that have never experienced real life. Never experienced it.
Corporations don't want to increase minimum wage or wages at all. They want to lay off as many workers as possible and replace all of the remaining ones with robots as quickly as they can. Healthcare can't be free. Otherwise, an entire industry would go the way of the dodo. To put it simply, life can't be better for the rest of us because rich people want to make more money and profit off of our suffering. And even though it feels like the system is broken, it's not. It's working as intended. Our entire economic system centers on the maximization of profit, which means money making is incentivized above all else in virtually every single thing that we do. Even art isn't safe. There's a reason why so many films these days are sequels and remakes, and why so many video games are quick cash grabs and asset flips filled with microtransactions. It's because the goal isn't to make an enjoyable experience. If you happen to enjoy it, that's just secondary to the goal of making a lot of money. Greed is a virtue in our society, and it's the main virtue that keeps all of us going, because if we're not greedy, we don't survive, because we're all captive to that exploitative machine, and we don't have the ability to opt out even if we wanted to. In theory, I would like to think that I'm making these videos to inform and entertain people, but at the end of the day, if I don't upload at least 3 new videos per week, I can't feed myself. If I didn't have to worry about doing this as a job, I'd be pursuing passion projects and making entirely different forms of content if I wasn't beholden to YouTube's.
Yes. And like I said, one of the things for me, the reason if somebody just says, oh, and so, that's fine with me. I don't care. I'm not here because it pays my bills. The $2.73, other than the times that Fan gives me $5, thank you, Fan. The $2.73 I'm going to make off of this live stream definitely doesn't pay my bills. Okay? End of the day, what pays my bills is that I've worked my fucking ass off outside of YouTube to create a life for me and my family. And that is always going to be the number one most important thing in my life. But getting on here and trying to do something good is also pretty important to me. And I definitely benefit from the fact that I am not financially beholden to YouTube. And there's got to be an answer. We've got to figure out some way to make it so people can create things that are not completely fucking soulless and still be able to live their life. And I think that the answer to that is not doing what Anna just did, right? I'm going to unsub because you had this one thing that you totally disagree with you about. If you want left-wing media to burgeon and become better and stronger, you have to be able to disagree with commenters, with commentators. You have to. I do not agree with everything that Mike Figueredo believes. I do not agree with everything that Benjamin Dixon believes. But I can have conversations with all of them because I believe that their heart is in the right place. Like if somebody said to me, well, those people that are in Gaza, those hostages, those are only 1 or 2 people. Their lives don't really matter on the bigger scale of thing. I would disagree. I would hard disagree. Why? Because I have children, I have a wife, I have friends. And if you told me that my son was being held hostage somewhere and that I should just give up on him because, if you don't, well, there's a lot of other innocent people. You can't get to me by saying that. So I have to have that empathy for others as well and say, I understand why you think that. Can we talk about it? Can we disagree? Because people like Mike, my heart goes out to him. He probably does care about making content. He probably does care about wanting to make a difference. But because of the system that we work within, he's beholden to the almighty dollar. And if he doesn't make 3 videos a week, and if they don't catch on, and if he doesn't have a clickbaity title, and if he doesn't cover the things that people want him to cover, then he'll never make money, and he'll never be able to support himself. Then he'll never have the time to do it. Like, that's my thing. People, why don't you cover the fires? Why do I need to get on here and do that when there's a million other people doing it? Why do people continue to influence content creators to make entertainment rather than to do something that actually means something? Because I see people saying constantly that they want people to do something good. They want their content to be full of substance. But I've literally made videos about LGBT people having their rights taken away from them, LGBT people being put to death in Uganda, Uganda, and it'll get like 100 views. But if I put out a video that says Joe Rogan that said Donald Trump wears a diaper, it gets 200,000 views. People complain about clickbait titles, but if I put out a title that says, here's this thing about this Republican, conservative that has chosen to do something that I dislike and I think it's fucked up for all you guys, that's actually a pretty clickbaity title. If I make a generic, this is what the video is about title, nobody will click on it. Like I've said before, we also have to be part of the solution. It can't just be on the people creating the content. It also has to be on the people that consume the content. If you want people to create things and not be clickbaity or create crazy thumbnails, then you have to support people. Sometimes when you disagree with them, as long as their head and their heart is in the right place, and sometimes you got to support the things that they do that do seem important, but might not be the most entertaining thing in the world.
Fickle algorithm.
Ranting
we're all captive to the system in some way. I try to be a responsible consumer, and I'm sure that you do as well, but we can't not do business with exploitative companies. I mean, the phones that we all have are not made with products that were ethically sourced, to put it mildly. Our entire system prioritizes profits over people. I mean, we are literally destroying our planet to increase short-term profits for fossil fuel companies. Now, I say all this not to get you down and make you feel hopeless, but because I want us to have a realistic understanding of our barbaric system, which was designed to arrive at this inevitable conclusion, even if it seemed to be working pretty smoothly at first. Now, getting back to Scott Galloway and the conversation that he had with Joe Scarborough, they characterize our current situation as a rigged tax system specifically, and they talk about rich people shifting the tax burden onto the middle class. And that is certainly...
And see, this is the prime example. Like, me and Mike would probably hard disagree on Joe Biden's presidency, right? Like, I actually think Joe Biden's presidency was really good. I think he did a lot of progressive stuff. I love the Infrastructure Act. I liked it better. I love the Inflation Reduction Act, but I liked it better when it was Build Back Better Act. I like the Infrastructure Act. I like the PAC Act. I like the Chips and Science Act. I like the bipartisan gun legislature. I like the forgiving of college debt. I like him bringing home the 6 people from Russia. Like, there's a lot of things about Joe Biden's presidency that I actually like that probably I wouldn't say Mike would disagree that those are good things, but he would probably disagree with me on whether or not like he would support an establishment Democrat, which Joe Biden is, even if he did some things that are really progressive. But on the other hand, if we want to talk about capitalism, we want to talk about corporations, we want to talk about like the financial impact on lower and middle class people and how that's unfair, me and him are going to hit probably 100 on 100 topics and agree on the majority of them. Like, the majority of them.
A part of the problem for sure, but my level of analysis is a little bit different. For example, this is how Joe Scarborough describes it.
This, and I say this as a small government conservative,
Well, no, actually, I
is
wouldn't
a
disagree
threat
with you on that.
to American
He did fuck up
capitalism.
by doing
And that's where
nothing
we
about
disagree.
SCOTUS.
It's not a
I
threat
disagree with
to
Joe Biden
capitalism.
supporters on
It's
that.
just capitalism. Income and wealth inequality isn't just the product of our rigged level of analysis. Bro, they characterize our current situation as a rigged tax system specifically, and they talk about rich people shifting the tax burden onto the middle class. And that is certainly a part of the problem for sure, but my level of analysis is a little bit different. For example, this is how Joe Scarborough describes it.
This, and I say this as a small government conservative, this is a threat to American capitalism.
And that's where we disagree. It's not a threat to capitalism. It's just capitalism. Income and wealth inequality isn't just the product of our rigged tax system or some unintended consequence. It's the result of the system. And I say this because you can try to put in place as many safeguards and regulations as you want, but at the end of the day, if our economy is built solely on the goal of maximizing profits, all of those safeguards that act as a line between capitalism and so-called crony capitalism are one day going to be targeted by the oligarchs as well for the fact that they view them as barriers to increasing profits even more.
And I wouldn't say one day. I believe that's happening right now. That is literally why Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Andreessen, Larry Ellison, all of them, they are attacking those lines between capitalism and crony capitalism right now. Any guardrail between them and doing what they want and making a bajillion dollars, because once again, it's not about the money, it's about the control and the resources. It's why you see Elon Musk reaching out to Germany. You can see him interfering in Britain. It's why you hear the dumb shit about Mexico and Canada and Greenland. It's because whether we want to believe this dramatic ass statement I'm about to make, I believe it's true. And that is, they want control of the world. Like, I know that's a crazy statement. It sounds weird coming out. I feel like it's fucking Pinky in the Brain. Like, but to be honest, I don't think that people understand what type of control they want. They don't want control in the idea of they're now some kind of evil villain oligarch leader that sits in a chair and goes, ha 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 ha, I now control the world. No, when I say they want control, what I mean is they want access to anything and everything they could possibly want within the globe, even outside of it at one point, because obviously space exploration is right on the fucking tips of their fingers right now. They want access to the ability to do things with any of those things without people getting in their way. And those guardrails that are currently between them and capitalism, or crony capitalism and capitalism, is the only thing that's currently stopping them from being able to just do whatever the fuck they want without having to be disadvantaged, right? Or to be stalled. So somebody like Elon Musk wants to be able to say, if he can get a foothold in America and put chips in people's brains, he wants to be able to do it in Germany. He wants to be able to do it in France. He wants to be able to do it in Greenland. That's happening today. I don't think it's going to happen one day. I think it is happening right now.
You know, elections were once about public participation and even governance. But now, since we've commodified that too and now allow unlimited sums of money in politics, elections are nothing more than money-making ventures for the ruling class. They're effectively investments.
Lasers
and
on sharks.
Scott Galloway explains how this is the case in the following clip.
The greatest trade of 2024. It wasn't Bitcoin. It wasn't NVIDIA.
Yes, what Oxford just said. They just want full access to the resources. They don't want to be the keeper of the land. They just want access anytime, all the time, 24/7. 100% Oxford. That is exactly what I am trying to say. No one wants to, that's why I said, is like the conspiracy theories have one big flaw. And that is that they think that these people want to be in control of people. No, they want to have access to them. They want to be able to do whatever they want to them. But they don't actually want to be a steward. They don't want to be in charge. Look, I've been in management and leadership for 20 years. Being in charge of people sucks, okay? I love working with people, helping them grow, helping them find success, helping them solve problems. But the thing that I hate more than anything is having to constantly feel as though like everything depends on me to make it happen for them. And that's what being a real steward is. Being a real leader is taking onto yourself the responsibility of other people's success. And that's not what they want. They don't want that. They want to be able to come in and out of these interactions with no repercussions at all. If they don't do good, there's no repercussion. And if they do good, then they get the reward. That's really all they care about. That's all they want.
It was Elon Musk investing $250 million directly in the Trump campaign.
I would have to
and
look
then when
more into
Trump
the
won
actual
since the
definition.
election,
Let's have it
Elon
silent.
Musk's worth has gone up $140 billion. So that's effectively, I believe.
Yeah, Candace, that's what I said the other day is right now, once again, it was like a crazy statement. It's like, I can't believe some of the stuff I'm saying nowadays. Like, I'm literally sitting here going, his approach to what he's saying about Greenland sounds a lot like Hitler talking to Stalin about Poland. You know? It's like the only difference right now is that Hitler was speaking to Stalin pretty openly, about what they were going to do in Poland, even though they used a ruse to invade Poland, dressing the people up in Nazi, or what was it? They dressed Polish people up in Nazi uniforms and said that they killed, they weren't called Nazis back then. They said that they killed German soldiers, and that was the ruse to invade Poland. The only difference is that, like, in my opinion right now, I would imagine that the person on the other side of a negotiation for something like Greenland would probably be Putin, especially since Putin is right now expressing his own interests in Greenland. The only thing that like kind of conflicts with that for me is the fact that Putin's not really a guy who likes to share. So it'd be a lot like Hitler, where it'd be like Stalin gets kind of pushed out of the agreement, and eventually Stalin obviously became ally of the West to finish the war. An important ally at that point too. But I said it the other day. I said, it feels very much like when Trump talks about Greenland, it feels very much like Hitler talking about Poland. It's crazy to say, but it feels like we're on the cusp of some fucking crazy shit.
About a 56,000% return on investment. So we've gone full kleptocracy. We can never, in my opinion, wave our finger at Russia again when the president, the elected president, is taking public trust and public authority and weaponizing governments and doling out capital and market share and contracts and threatening to use regulatory action against the competitors who don't give money to his inaugural committee or don't kind of bend the knee. We are effectively in a kleptocracy. Russia is the role model. We are becoming more like Russia every day. That's where we are.
That's crazy.
He's right. Think about it. Our billionaire president is the puppet of another billionaire who basically bought government and has near unlimited power. And it's bleak, but what he's saying here is important because he's not wrong. Maximizing profits is no longer just about researching and developing new technology or innovation. It is about buying politicians to give your company subsidies and tax cuts. It's why almost every single corporation factors lobbying and campaign contributions into their annual budgets, because buying politicians has become an essential part of profit maximization itself. It goes back to the Princeton study that I cited earlier. This is why regular Americans have a statistically insignificant impact on policy outcomes, because a working mom with...
Yeah, because money don't mean shit now. So think of it this way. This is the craziest part about all this, is that these guys, think of it like a foot race, right? Even if you were to get wealthy today, you don't have the status or connections that not only these people, but their families, because a lot of these people come from old money, right? So even if you were to become wealthy, let's say you won the lottery. Let's say you won one of these $1 billion lotteries. Let's say you took the money, you got taxed. Let's say you have $700 million. Then you take that $700 million, you find somebody that's smart financially. He tells you to invest in these different places. Let's say, of all people, Warren Buffett invests your money for you. The next thing you know, you have $12 billion. Even with that much money, you do not have the resources that somebody that has $5 billion but has status and connections because they've been in the game longer, has. Because really, you're new to the game. There's nothing that you have that any of these people want, because they don't need your money. They don't want your money. They need your status and connections. So when we talk about wealth, once again, the money isn't important. It's your access to the resources that are necessary for survival that is important. And when you're a billionaire oligarch, the things that you need to have access to is to politicians that push legislation and create policies. You need to have an ability to cut regulations. You need to have an ability to siphon life force, not even money, life force from the proletariat. Because it's not even our money that's really important to them anymore. It's our lives. It's us as human beings. It's our day-to-day 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours a day that they need you in a factory, or they need you, in a fast food place or a restaurant, whatever, pumping out your hours of your life to continue to generate resources for them to make themselves stronger, more powerful, and more wanted for resource and connection. That's really what it's about. So it doesn't even matter. The foot race is over. Even if you get $700 million today, you will never have the type of access to the resources and connections that those people have. That's what's fucking scary.
With 2 kids, can't afford to hire a lobbyist to advocate for policies that she wants. She can't buy a politician or bribe them to bring down the cost of childcare. It is a zero-sum game that regular Americans can't even afford to play.
Streamline the way you search for crosses with Z2 Data's Part Risk Manager, the industry's most complex.
So that's why it all feels rigged. But with that being said, I do want to get back to Scott Galloway's commentary here, because even though him and I come from different ideological perspectives, obviously, I think that he does a good job at explaining how things are starting to break down because our system is now incapable of building and sustaining a middle class. And that really is the key here. And it's important because, Americans, they will tolerate a certain level of income and wealth inequality so long as they're able to get by. I think that most people are cool with rich people having yachts and private jets, so long as they're thriving themselves. But I mean, when the standard of living becomes so low that things are so bad and you can't even afford, one emergency, but yet you see elites getting richer than ever, that's when the system starts to lose legitimacy. That's when society...
And that's the flaw in their plan. And I wonder if they're just too far up there. The towers are too tall. Like they don't see the rabble, getting more upset by the moment. Because the reality is the proletariat's actually really easy to control. All you have to do is provide us with a roof over our head, heating and air conditioning, some electricity, and some entertainment. You have to treat us fairly. You have to give us access to food. And you have to make it feel like that we've done something important by having a child and raising it to be a good human being. Like, I'm a pretty basic person. I come from very little, almost nothing. I was as poor as you possibly can be in America. I had no electricity. At times, I had to shower using a fucking a water hose with extremely cold water. I ate out trash cans. I fought for food. Like, I come from that, and I'm very, very proud of working myself into the middle class. I'm very proud of the fact that my children are academically successful. They're intelligent human beings. I'm super proud of my wife sticking with me and helping me become a better person and helping me grow. And, to a person like me, those are all very complicated things, but to the wealthy, they're pretty basic. They're things that they have access to at any point, and if they don't have access to it, they can pay for access to it. But the easiest thing they could possibly do is just provide those of us that are proletariat, those of us that are the working class, with the basic amenities of housing, of food, of the potential to do something that we feel could be important, and that's either to create a hobby that allows us to be able to travel the world and see things that we care about. If we're into going around to different geographic locations in the world and learning about them, or if it's just that you want to sit down and start a family and have kids and raise them, and that's all you care about. If you can provide that to the working class, then for the most part, you're actually like creating this situation where you get to benefit off all of the things that we do, and we're still happy because we get what we want. And they're making a fucking mistake right now, because what they're doing is they're starting to look down on the lower class, the middle class, and say to themselves, we don't even have to disguise this anymore, because enough of these people are stupid enough that if we just act like everything is fine, they'll act like everything's fine. It's fine. But there is a portion of our community, specifically here in America, I can't speak for the rest of the world, that is quickly finding that this increasing wealth gap between us and them is what's kind of grinding us down, keeping us unhappy, making us feel like we're never appreciated. You can work as a manager in a store and have nothing but people that make minimum wage or slightly better. And if you treat them really well and you appreciate them and show them love and take care of them, they'll fucking bring you the moon. They'll drag the moon down and hand it over to you, even though they know you already own the stars. But if you don't treat people well, if you don't appreciate them, and you don't offer them financial support, one day you will wake up and they'll be standing the fuck over your bed while you sleep. So there is a flaw.
Society starts to break down, and we've arrived at that point.
I think an economy in America exists to create a robust middle class. The most ascendant countries over the last 20 years have been China and India, and it's a one basic litmus test. How many people are you bringing into the middle class? People like to fall back into this right-wing notion that it's naturally self-healing. It's not. It's an accident in history. Typically throughout history, you have a small number of people who weaponize government. They're very talented. They aggregate power. They weaponize government, and they aggregate more and more spoils. And then the good news is it's self-correcting. This level of income inequality is usually self-correcting. The bad news is the means of self-correction are typically war, famine, or revolution.
Boom.
And if you want to talk about tax policy, the myth in tax...
There it is right there. It is either war, famine, or revolution. And Aristotle knew this 2,000 years ago. This is not new to the human condition. This is a tale as old as time. You will either correct it, or we will correct it for you. And it will happen through either war, famine, or revolution.
Tax policy is that the rich don't pay their taxes. That's just not true. The fulcrum is the following. There's super earners and super owners. The folks around your table are probably considered super earners. You make exceptional livings, but it's all current income reported on a W-2. And if you live in New Jersey or New York, you're probably paying 48 to 52% tax rates.
Right.
But if you're a super owner, I make my living starting and selling businesses. My last business, which was sold for $160 million, I'm very transparent about money. This gestalt or zeitgeist that people should not talk about money is nothing but an attempt to keep poor people down, because rich people talk about money all the time. It's important to be financially literate. The first $10 million for my $160 million sale was tax-free. My effective tax rate over the last 10 years has been 17%. The average tax rate on the wealthiest 25 Americans is 6%. Corporate tax rates are at their lowest point since 1939. At the same time, taxes have gone up for the super owners. Now, the bottom 50% don't pay much federal income tax, but they pay a lot in usage and consumption taxes. But this misdirect talking about tax rates misses the point. It's the tax code, which has gone from 400 pages to 4,000. And that 3,600 pages, quite frankly, is there to screw the middle class and continue to transfer more money to the super wealthy. The fastest growing demographic group in America is not seniors. It's not Latins. It's billionaires. We had 500 billionaires 10 years ago. We now have 2,500. So if you want to cram more and more wealth into a smaller group of people, we're on our way. And the weird thing about America is that we support it because our superpower is our optimism. The Achilles heel is that 99%, the bottom 99% who are getting screwed, don't mind these policies because they believe at some point they're going to be in that 1%. But where are we? We're in a country.
Yeah, Legion Miller said it. You think you are one great idea away from being the 1%, and the reality is you are 2 mistakes away from being poverty-stricken.
It's had unprecedented prosperity, but similar to the way William Gibson described the future, it has not been evenly distributed. When 40% of U.S. households are struggling with some sort of medical or dental debt, when a quarter or 20% of households with kids are food insecure, and yet we have one man, Jensen Huang, and I like Jensen, who is now worth more than Boeing. I mean, something is wrong here.
I agree. And everyone senses that something is wrong. And they're right to feel like things are wrong because it wasn't always this way. Things weren't always this bad. Our grandparents and parents were able to buy homes and go on vacation and retire. And the fact that this generation can't isn't because we've all become collectively lazy or less productive. Everybody knows that there's some variable, there's something that changed that has led to our collective desperation. So we all, on some level, acknowledge that there's a problem. The issue is that the elites who benefit from this unequal system have invested heavily in making sure that we never find out who the true culprits are. So what do? They buy media companies and they try to reinforce the system and convince us all that it's immigrants or affirmative action and DEI, and our standard of living has gone down, not because of them, but because of immigrants. They're the ones buying all the homes, and people of color are taking all the good jobs. But guess what? They're suffering too. And elites are pointing the finger at them, so you don't question their complicity with your suffering. And it's not like American oligarchs are ignorant to this fact. They're not stupid. There's a reason why the richest man on earth, even though he is a dumbass specifically, tweets, power to the people, and LARP says this anti-elitist when he is the quintessential elite. And this is why, we're starting to see so many right-wingers call themselves populists. It's because rather than changing the system, they're co-opting your rage and they're misguiding you so you never question the system. They don't want to change the system, even though they say they do. They just want to placate you. And one quote from that clip about income inequality that really stood out to me is Scott's point about it historically being a self-correcting issue. And he's correct. But he warned that, the means of self-correction for income inequality is typically war, famine, or revolution. And if you go back to the point that he made in that first clip, that's what we're starting to see now.
Yep.
Right? More protests, support for Luigi Mangione. It's not necessarily a revolution, but more and more people are targeting the wealthy in pseudo-revolutionary acts. And fun fact, America is 248 years old. Take a guess as to what the average lifespan of empires is. Take a guess. 250 years. So we've reached the point where people already want to burn the system down. But
yeah, and I try to explain it like growing up, right? America is very much hitting its puberty stage. One of the things that we get wrong in America, because we have huge egos. We're the best. We're number one. Shit, we can't be number two. If we're number two or number three, we think we have failed. Imagine having that mentality. Imagine having the mentality that if you're not the number one in everything in the world, that you're going to throw a fit, you're going to freak the fuck out. That's America. That's who we are. So we're going through puberty right now as a country. 248 years old. Most countries that are 200 years old or so are having the same types of issues we are, and that's because communities being built are a long-term problem. And there's going to be growing stages, and it really is what the outcomes are and how positive they are is to how much further a country can go. And it feels like right now America is about 11 years old. It just grew some hair on its balls. It's got a little bit of a mustache, and it's a little bit full of itself, but it's also incredibly insecure. And it's looking around at everybody else, all these other countries, and it's puffing its chest out and telling everybody how not insecure it is. But we are. We're really insecure right now. And the only way that we grow through puberty and become a good human being is by taking the things that we fail at, the flaws, the mistakes that we make, and using them to learn, to get better. And this is a time where these elites, who, let's say the elites are, the leaders of our country, because they are oligarchs. This is an oligarchic society. They can help in this situation, and they can choose to be the brain. They can choose to really work to help people out and show appreciation and help America get through its puberty and help it get to a point where it blossoms and goes off to college and becomes a real guy, okay? Becomes a real person. But right now, what they're much more interested in is getting their weird utopian societies built before they die. And like I said, countries and communities even, not even countries, communities are a long-term problem. And when you're so focused on getting everything you need to get done in your life done before you die, you're completely forgetting the fact that life's going to go on long after you are gone. And when people have children, like I have children, you tend to think long-term. You tend to think to yourself, like, sure, maybe climate change isn't going to affect me in my lifetime. Maybe it's not man-made even. Who knows? Well, I believe it is. And so does 99% of the scientific community. But, what the fuck do they know? But what matters to me is that my kids' grandkids, my kids' kids, don't have to grow up in a society where they have to be concerned about it because I never was. And so these elites have this chance to make a positive impact on society and show everybody that what we believe the reality isn't quite right. Like, they do care, they want to make a difference, they want to make the world a better place, but they're choosing not to do that, and they're doing it because they're selfish, and they don't give a fuck whether or not America grows up. They don't care, because they could do the same thing in Germany, they could do the same thing in China, they can do the same thing in France. They just happen to be in America.
But the good news for American oligarchs is that it doesn't have to come to that. They don't have to keep people this desperate to where they want to burn down the entire system. All that you have to do is ease the pressure a little bit, and this revolutionary fervor dies down. We're distracted again. And Scott makes that point in this video with regard to tax policy.
You effectively, once you get above a certain level of wealth, you get no incremental happiness. So why on earth would you not go back to a tax policy of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where, say, above, pick a big number, 10 million, you actually pay more than 10%, maybe more than 20%, maybe more than 50%, because the difference between 30,000 a year for a household and 50,000 is enormous to the well-being of that household. Low-income kids in low-income households have higher resting blood pressure, but the difference between making 10 million a year and 15 million a year offers you no happiness.
And he's not necessarily wrong, but
me and Mike might disagree here. But this is something that when people bring up the tax rate, people say the ultra elites pay 70% of all the taxes. What do you mean that they need to pay more in taxes? What I mean when I say that they need to pay more in taxes is this. If I make $50,000 a year and it takes $48,000 to live life, let's say we get to take one vacation a year. It's not all just living. It is also having entertainment, being able to eat out every once in a while, having a good time with my kids, buying them gifts on their birthday. Let's say I spend $48,000 of the $50,000 that I make. That leaves me with, let's say, $2,000. And we're not even into taxes yet. Leaves me with $2,000 that I potentially can put away just in case my wife gets fucking cancer. Okay? That won't even put a fucking needle pinpoint-sized dent in my medical bills. But I'm just stashing that $2,000 away because God only knows I might need it one day. Meanwhile, somebody in the ultra-wealthy makes $1 billion a year. If they were taxed $999 million on that billion, they'd still have $1 billion or $1 million in that year. And they would still, if living the same exact life, be able to put away hundreds of thousands of dollars just in case something bad happens. And it happens to us all. Ultra wealthy and proletariat happens to us all. And that is the difference, is that the percentage of taxes that the middle class, the lower middle class, and the upper middle class pay is a high percentage of their total wealth. Whereas the total percent of taxes that the ultra wealthy pay is an incredibly small percentage of their total wealth. And that endangers your well-being for both sides.
But what he doesn't understand is that he's different from other elites in the sense that elites have become so greedy that they won't even let us have crumbs anymore. They want that too.
That's all
But
I'm
this
saying.
is another area where
Just
I think
some crumbs,
that him
dog.
and I fundamentally disagree, because we shouldn't just go back to the way things were when our grandparents were thriving. We should want more, right? We should aim higher. The difference, obviously,
I'm listening.
between $30,000 a year and $50,000 a year is enormous, but that's still woefully inadequate in today's economy. Now, that's not necessarily what he's saying. He's just using that as an example, but still, we should always aim higher. If you did just a little bit better, you still couldn't buy a house. You couldn't really afford a hobby. You couldn't really afford to miss work if you got sick. You still wouldn't be able to retire. And we should all be able to not just get by. We should be able to do really well for ourselves. We should all be able to take vacations and pursue passion projects and, just lounge around once in a while and smoke weed. We've technologically advanced to the point where every waking moment of our lives doesn't have to be about survival. Like, we're beyond the hunter-gatherer days.
Yes.
We don't have to just focus on the daily grind. We can actually relax and enjoy life. We deserve to be able to thrive and not just survive. But so long as that American dream is kept from us, and we can't do that, things are going to continue to get worse, and people will continue to get increasingly desperate and make really dumbass decisions as a result of said desperation. And they'll elect insurrectionist rapists like Donald Trump, not to excuse them doing that, but just to explain why things are so bad, because people are looking for answers. And if a fascist demagogue is giving them answers, they're going to take that as
take it.
gospel. Because if things are bad and you
100%.
don't know why they're bad, but you sense that they are bad and somebody is telling you they have an answer to all your problems, that's going to suffice, unfortunately. But I've got one more clip for you, and this one is completely unrelated. So at the beginning of the video, as you remember, Scott called Trump a rapist. Well, this is how Mika Brzezinski responded to him calling Trump a rapist.
I want to make a comment, though, just about a word that was used in this interview.
Wow.
Donald
Here we
Trump was tried civilly and was found liable of sexual abuse, not rape. But the judge in the case likened his actions to rape, but the liability was officially called sexual.
Damn.
Abuse.
Well, thank you so much for that much-needed clarification so you don't get sued. Much appreciated. So that's all I've got for you all. We'll leave that there.
Well, look at that. That's where we're at now, huh? All right. Okay. That's what we're doing. Well, I think we're going to end it here. It was a tough day. It was a long day. I'm sorry if I was a little more aggro than normal, but I am an angry ginger after all. And I tried to stay away from the fire talk. And someone, like I said, it's not even MAGA. There's always just somebody that has to come in and push the button. They do. Just fucking human nature, man. Anyways, let's see. Let's clean some house. Let's do the thing. Football. Fucking Philadelphia playing Green Bay tomorrow. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go, Philly. Looks like the Ravens are beating the crap out of the Steelers right now. I'm going to guess she swallowed Max. That looked like a full-ass swallow. Texans beat the Chargers earlier today, so they're moving on. Eagles playing Packers tomorrow. Let's go Eagles. Let's win. And if one of your team is playing that is not the Packers, I'm rooting for your team. Okay? As long as they're not the Packers. If your team is the Packers, I'm really sorry, but tomorrow you're going to lose. Let's see. Other than that, next politics stream is going to be probably Wednesday. I promise. I swear to God, I'm going to do everything I can to try to be on Monday to have some more fun with you guys. Those of you guys that showed up to the gaming stream where we played BioShock, aka Elon's Future for America, where we delved deep into what's going to happen when climate change, when there's way too much water, risk, okay? When the water is above the line and we all live underwater in Elon's Utopia universe. That's the game we're playing on Mondays. So if you're interested in just stopping in and hanging out, and I don't watch politics reactions, we just play the game and I make jokes and you guys tell me how bad I am at video games, and you can be just like Risk. You can tell me an old man that can't do anything right because I have man titties. First of all, I don't have man titties. Sorry, bud. I can still bench 200. I can still bench 200. Still in pretty good shape. Yeah. So if you guys want to stop in on Monday, we'll be doing a gaming stream probably on Monday, unless something crazy happens. And then next politics stream will be Wednesday. Hopefully I'll have the fucking Twitch link figured out by then, because oh my God, if one more thing goes wrong today. Yeah, that's what's going on. And we're talking to Ben Dixon about getting on the show. So yeah, stay hydrated, boys. Packers, more like fudge Packers. Yes, exactly, fan. I think they like to pack the cheese. That's what they do. They pack the cheese. I like the Packers too. God damn it, why do we have to play the Packers? I like Jordan Love. Anyways, yeah, other than that, that's about it. I really appreciate you guys being here. I will work on my technical difficulties. I will fix the Twitch stream and all the other things I have to do. And root for my Eagles, okay? Steelers just got a touchdown. It's on commercial right now. I didn't see it, apparently. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the night. Enjoy the football. Thank you guys to the people that super chatted. If you haven't joined the Angry Ginger Army, it's only $3 a day or 10 cents a day or $3 a month. Cheaper than Netflix and much more entertaining. You don't have to do anything. I do all the work. Just click on the stream and watch me go. All right, guys. There's some real shit out there. We got to do something about it. So I hope you guys hang out and we do something about it. All right, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I hope to see you next time.